Hi friends, welcome back. This is Manish Pandey, and today in this tutorial we are going to learn about UiPath Re-Framework Input from SQL Database. You can see the screenshot here showing caching on US check, not on US check, status, remarks, insert date time, process start date time, process end date time, retry count. So these are all these things we are going to learn today. So I hope you are able to understand what are we going to learn. This is means we are going to use the UI demo exe application, and the input will take from the SQL server. SQL database will insert that data to the SQL server, and then we'll get the transaction data from there, and we'll update the status in the SQL table instead of Excel, and we will update the remarks there. We will put the date, insert date time when the record has been inserted, and based on that we'll export the output file in the Excel file also, and we'll update the process start date time and the process end date time, and we'll take one more, that is retry count, like how many times the item has been retried, right? As you know that only we can retry the items which is failed due to application exception, and here you can see there is a status skipped. It means that is a business rule exceptions, so that will show there like records are not numeric. So we'll start. Let me show you what are we going to learn today, our agenda. So today's agenda: how to connect UiPath with SQL Server database. So I hope as of now you have learned how to connect UiPath with SQL Server, as I already told you in my previous video. So better, if you have not learned that one, then please go and watch that video and then go through this Re-Framework SQL Server video. How to read config data from SQL table in UiPath. So this time in this tutorial, Re-Framework tutorial, we are going to read the config data from the SQL table, not Excel file. How to insert input data from Excel to SQL table in UiPath. So first we will insert the input data which we are going to process to the SQL. How to get transaction data from SQL table in UiPath. How to process each transaction's data in UiPath. How to update transaction data like success status from UiPath to SQL. How to apply business logic and update skipped status in SQL. So as I already shown you that if the status is success, it means item has been processed successfully, and if there is any business rule exception, then we'll update the status skipped against that transaction. How to update failed status in SQL if item fails due to system exception. So if we'll get the system exception, then we'll update the failed status in the table. How to retry items if fails due to system exceptions. So if you'll see, like whenever we get an system error, system exception, then item get fails because UiPath is unable to find the selector, or there is any mismatch, or there is any error. So that's why the item gets failed. So we'll retry that items. How to export final data from SQL table to Excel in UiPath. So finally at the end I will show you how to export the final data, like updated data with the success, how many items are success, how many items are skipped, how many items are failed, right? So and also you can see that like this item has been retried up to this time, right? Let's suppose if you're going to set here 3 times, 4 times, 5 times, so that application exceptions item will be retried up to the given specified time. So let me open the UiPath Studio so that I can show you the demo. I hope you want to learn, you want to see the demo which I have created here in UiPath. So first I'm going to show you how it works, and then I will tell you the step by step how can you also do that. Okay, so let me open the UiPath Studio. Okay, so here you can see there is no changes. This is the REFramework. We are just getting the data from the SQL Server and putting the status to the SQL Server database, right? Okay, so now let me show you the input data. This is inside this folder, in the data folder. So we are going to take this transactions.xlsx. So currently we have 40 records, in which I am putting here the alphabetics here, so that UiPath will understand this data as a business rule exception. So this item will be skipped. This item will be skipped, and which is numeric value that will be processed successfully. Okay, so we have the only this Excel file as an input, and we have the 3 column: cache in, on US check, and not on US check. But I will show you how can we insert more columns there and we can update there. Okay, so let me close this, and this is the report which we will get at the end when all the items have been processed. So UiPath will get the data from the table based on the insert date time, and it will update the report there, and we are going to use this uidemo.exe file. And now let me show you the database here. So we have this database UiPath RPA, you have seen in my previous video, and this is the config data in which I am putting the value, this application path uidemo, and this is the process name. This is the input file which you are going to take. So this transactions.xlsx file, we are going to use this for the input, and this is the sheet name, and here we have a specified maximum retry number 3. So the item will be retried up to this maximum retry number, and this is the screenshot folder path. And the important thing is, like, I have taken here the insert table name in which we are going to insert the data to the table, and this is the connection string I am going to use here. We will just use our config file name connection string, and we are going to export the output file to this location. So we are taking here uidemo output file, and this is the data provider I am going to show you when this is required. So data provider also we are going to use that. And now you can see here I have created the table in which I am using this ID, cache in, on US check, not on US check, status, remarks, insert date time, process start date time, process end time, retry count, and the table name is uidemo underscore input. Now you can see here it has been updated, like cache in, and the success skipped, records are not numeric, and this is item processed, cache in added, on US check added, not on US check added, and this is the start date time, this is the process start, and the retry count is 1. So currently I need to delete this, so I will use the truncate table so that I can show you from a starting. Let me run this. So now you can see here the data has been deleted from the tables. So now I can show you, I can run, and you can see how it is working. Now I need to check one thing in the assets, because I already told you about that, the first run. So I have a status first run equal to yes, then the item will be inserted. If it is no, then item will not be inserted to the SQL. This is only used to ignore the duplicates. Every time item will not be inserted. Now you can see here there is no records. Okay, so first I am going to show you the demo, and after that I will tell you how to create this table and why do we require this. And I'm not going to debug, I'm going to run this. So press Ctrl F5. So project has been started. Now you can also see the output from here. It is showing here process 1, 2, item skipped, records are not numeric, the processing transaction number 10. So you can see the item has been inserted here. All this item has been inserted to the table, and it is picking one by one data from the SQL table and it is processing here. And if it has this alphabetics, then it is updating here skipped and records are not numeric. And if it is numeric value, then it is putting here success, and the remarks is item processed, cache-in added, on US check added and not on US check added. And the insert date time, this is process start date time, and this is a start process and date time. And the retry is 1 because we are using here a retry as a 0. So if first time this will run, then it will plus 1. So retry is 1, right? So by that way you can execute the UiPath project and you can process your input files which you are going to use that. It shows that all items has been processed. We have the 40 records, and you can see here closing application process finished due to no more transaction data, closing application, data exported to Excel file, right? So everything has been done. Now let me show you the exported data which is in this Excel file, and the name is report 10/21/2019, and you can double click and open, and you can see here the complete status, the final data. So by that way you can also export this and you can process these items. Now let me delete this and let me show you as a new. So for that, let me take one, go to home, click on this start and click on this Robotic Enterprise framework, and now you can put here SQL table. Now change the path. I'm going to change this path, this location somewhere else, and create this. So before that, I'm going to show you how can we create the table so that you can perform the automation here. So let me delete this UI demo input, and this will be there, always there, because first time you have to insert this configuration data and you just have to use. Every time this table is not going to insert to the SQL, this is the first time you have to insert the data to the table, and always use the same config file for that process. We are just going to delete this data because every time these items will be inserted to the table. Create to new editor, and now we can delete this table. So delete, I'm going to take here drop and UI drop table UI demo underscore input. So what will happen? It will permanently delete this table from this database. Now execute this. Now if you'll run this, you will not get any records, right? Because the table has been deleted. Let me refresh this. Okay, so only one configuration table is there. Now let me show you how can we create this table. So we need here the cache-in, because we have the data as a cache-in on US check and not on US check. So this is the important. We are going to take this, and before that we are going to add this in the table. So we are going to take here as a one ID, and we'll take this as a primary key. So we'll write here primary key, and I hope you know about this identity 11. This is used only to increase this ID. Now not null, because primary key should not be null, and we are taking this cache-in. So varchar 15, we are going to take here varchar 15 for the cache-in, and for on US check we are also going to take varchar 15, and this will be null. This can be null. And not on US check we are going to take the same data type, varchar 15. And for the status, we know that we are going to update here the success, failed, skipped. So for that, the 10 characters are enough for this. So I'm just putting here character 10, or you can take here varchar 10. And the remarks, I'm going to take here varchar max. So max I'm going to use here only for the, because I'm not passing here the size of the varchar, because in the varchar there could be more than 100 characters. Let's suppose if you are passing the exception message in that remarks, so because we don't know what will be the size of that data, so that's why we are passing here max. And the insert date time, this will be date time, because we are going to insert the date time when the items has been inserted to the table. Okay, and this is process date time when the item has been processed, and the when item has been processed, that end time. And the retry count we are going to take, as you know that this is for the retry the items when application exception. I believe you know about the default constant in the SQL server. We have the default, and we can use the default constant to pass the 0 to the status. So what will happen once if you write this default, so 0 will be added to the this status. So we are passing here 0. So whenever we will start getting the transaction data from the SQL to the UiPath, we will take this status 0. So when the status equal to 0, only that item will be processed. So this will be the default data. And in the remarks we are not going to pass anything. In the insert date time we are going to pass whenever the item will be inserted, that date will be inserted to this. So we'll take here default, and this will be get date. So get date will help you to get the current date, and this will be inserted to the table. And the retry count will also take this as a retry count default 0. So first time the retry count will be 0, and once first time the data inserted, the retry count will be 0, and when processed the retry count will be +1. Okay, now this is the done, and we can execute this query. So here we have error, yes, because do not need to pass this comma between the primary key and identity. Now select this and execute this. So commands completed. You can see here the table has been created. Okay, now let's run this, and you can see here there is no data. And whenever we will start adding the data to the table, so ID will be increased automatically. Insert date time will be the current date time, and the status will be 0, and the retry count will be 0, because here we have used the default 0, default 0, and the default get date, and this will be the primary key. Now let me go to the project, click on the main XML file, and we'll start from the init, because you know that first time we have to initialize the settings. We have to open the applications, open this, and you can see here we are not going to change anything. First time the system error equal to nothing, and now see this config is nothing, then we'll invoke this init settings. So in the settings we'll open this open workflow, and this is the dictionary initialization. We are not going to do anything, we'll leave it as it is. And this is for each seat. We are not going to get the data from the seat, we are not going going to get the config data from the sheet. So this is not required. We can remove this, and we can remove these sheets also. We just require this out config because here we are using this out config. Now we are going to take only this, so Control X, and you can delete this, and we can paste that only for each. And this is for try loading server assets. This is also not required. We can remove this. So from the init all settings, we just need to get the data from the SQL and add that item, that data to this config dictionary. That's why we have initialized the new dictionary to the out config. So first we need to get the data from the SQL table. Here we have the config data, so we need to read this data one by one. So for that, we have the activity, that is, we can take this execute query. As you know that this is used to get the data from the table, and in this we can use the select query, and this non query we can use the insert, update, delete. So here we need to get the data from the SQL table, so we can use the select star from the table, and so here we are going to use the select. So for that we have to take the execute query. So we'll drag and drop here, and here we can directly put the connection string, or we can take a connect activity to connect the SQL server, and this is for the get config from SQL. Okay, so now we need to pass the connection string and the provider name, or if you have the connection string, then we can pass here the existing connection. And we need to pass the SQL query, that is select star from the configuration table. So first time, either you can directly connect here, click on the configuration, or you can take the data from the assets. So first time I have stored this connection string, this data source, the complete data source, this connection string in the assets. So you can also store that in the assets for first time, because once we have the data in the dictionary, we can use the values, the config data from the config dictionary. So first time we require to pass the connection string from the assets. So we can take one get assets here, and we need to pass the assets name. So we have the assets name, this connection string, and this will be the control K, and we are going to take this connection string here, okay. So we'll use that connection string here, okay, because we have the value in the connection string variable here, and still we are getting the warning because we need to pass the provider name. So provider name also we are getting here. So either we can use the provider name here, or you can directly pass here. The provider name will be always, if you are going to work with the SQL server, then we need to pass here system.data.SQL CLI client, and we need to pass the SQL query. So for that we will write here this select, we'll write here select start from, or we can just put here select name comma value from configuration. Okay, copy this, and in the double quotation we can paste this. Or if you have the store procedures, then you can select the store procedures and you can pass the store procedure name. So we'll learn this store procedure in the next tutorial, like how can we use the select this procedures and we can get the data from the SQL server. So we'll learn that later. Okay, now by that way we can get the data, the configuration data from the SQL, and now in the output we have the data table. So we have the data table, so we'll take that data table as a config table. So we'll control K and paste this config table, right? So now this has been used here automatically. Now what will happen, using the for each row, we'll get each row from the config table and we'll add that value to the dictionary, right? And for the best practice we have the lots of things, but I'm going to show you, just you can use. I'm going to take here the log message, and this will say to the user that connecting SQL server, and after that here at the end I will take another log message, and this will say that config data has been added to dictionary. So if you are getting this log message, it means you have added the configuration data to the dictionary. Now this is done. Save this and close this. Now open again. So this part is done, and now we are getting the import arguments. Click on this and you can see here we have the out config. We are going to get the out config data in this variable now. So now we have this variable config. So now we can use this config on this page. Okay, and now this is for the save job arguments config. So this is for the orchestrator queue. We are not going to use, so you can comment out or you can delete this. I'm going to delete this. Now let me see this here, the kill all process. Let me open this. We are going to cover all this things one by one, and this is for the killing process. So for kill the process, we are going to take the kill process activity. So this will kill here Excel file, and we are going to take one more, and this will for the, because we are going to use the UI demo exe, so I'm going to use the UI demo application. So this will be also killed, this process. Now save this, close this. Now this is for the add log message. It will take the data from the config, that is log business process name, and that log, that business process name is showing here UI demo project Excel input. So we can change this, update configuration set value equal to this, and we'll write here UI demo project SQL input output, right, where ID equal to 31. Now run this and let's see the output here. Now we are getting here UI demo project SQL input output. So this time what will happen, in this add log message our that value will be updated. Now we have the init all applications. So in this init all applications, we'll initialize the application. It means we'll get the application details, we'll open the applications here, we'll log into the application. So this is time taking. Let me open the from the existing project, because many times I have shown you how to open these applications in the ReFramework. So I don't think you will be confused if I will take this details from the any other project, right? So I'm going to use this init all applications in the current project. So I will just show you that. So let me go to the project folder and I will delete this init applications and paste here. Okay, now remove this, and now you can refresh, save and open this. Okay, so here I have used this get app credentials, in which we are taking the orchestra credentials, this UI demo credential, and we already have the credentials here, UI demo credential. So first time it will get the credential from there, and if there is an error, then it will get the secure credentials from the credential manager, and if it is found, then it will process, and if it is not found, then it will request the credential from the user, and then it will add the credential, right? And it will, here we have taken here the open application, and in the do section I am just taking the type into, and here type secure, and there is a login like click button. Here I am passing the username, here I am passing the password as a secure, and here I am taking a click to click on the login, and after that I am taking the UI demo. After opening the completely opening the UI demo exe, I am taking the element exist and check for that. If it is this image showing, then UI demo application logged in successful, right? So this is the simple. Now let me close this. So this will just open the UI demo applications. I hope you know how to open the UI demo applications, and now I am passing that in config to the config value. Now this is done, and now we just need to check here. Let me show you the variables here. We have the transaction item, that is queue item. This is not required, you can delete this. This is the transaction field 2, this is not required, you can remove this. Transaction field 1, remove this. ID, remove this. Transaction data, we are going to use this. I am going to show you when can we use this. Now in the init settings, we have the option if first run, then we are adding the config data to the dictionary. Now before opening the applications, I am going to take one if condition, and we will take here if first run equal to yes. It means it is the first run, then the input data will be inserted to the table. So in the initialize settings, we will initialize that input value to the Excel. So for that we will take one get assets, and we will take this name. I have created this assets first run equal to yes. So if first run equal to yes, then item will be inserted, the input data will be inserted to the table, and if it is no, then item will not be inserted to the table. So first we'll take this first run, copy this, and we'll pass here the assets name first time, and we'll take the value in the name will be also first run. So we'll check here if first run equal to yes, so the data will be inserted to the table. So what we are going to take here, what we are going to take the step to insert the data to the table. So as you know that here we have the data in the Excel file. So let me first copy this and put into the our current folder. This is data, and remove this XLX file config, this is not required, and paste this. So we require the UI demo exe and the transaction.xlsx. okay, so we have the input data in the this Excel file. So first we need to read this data and then insert to the table. So we will take one read a range activity. So I'm going to take this read range in the workbook section, drag and drop here, and here we require to pass the Excel file name. So you can see here now the data, the config data has been inserted to the table, the dictionary. So now we have this name, the Excel file name in the dictionary. So you can see here the Excel file name, we have UI demo input file, and the dictionary name is config, open close bracket in the double quotation, and pass this name dot toString. okay, and now the sheet name is, we have the sheet name here, that is input sheet name, because the sheet name is input. So we'll remove this, we'll take again config, open close bracket, paste this dot toString, and we'll remove this, this is not required. Now save this, and now you can see here we require to pass the output data table. So output data table will be the control K, and this will be the out dt. And after that, now we have the Excel data in the data table, and now we need to insert the data to the SQL table. So for that we are going to use the insert query. So insert query, to write that query we need to take one activity, that is execute non query. So we'll take this execute non query, we'll drag and drop here. So either you can use this execute non query activity, or if you are going to directly insert the data from the data table to the SQL, then you can use here the insert activity. You know that this activity will directly take the data from the data table and write to the SQL table. Right, now you can pass the data table here, and the data table name is out dt, and this is the table name which we need to pass here. So this table name I have already taken in the config here. So this is the table name dbo.ui-demo.input. So copy this name and pass here the config, open close bracket, double quotation, and paste this table name dot toString. Now we need to pass the connection string. So now we have the connection string in the config table. So again we have the config, open close bracket, and take this connection string name, because now we have the value, the connection string here. Dot toString. And now one more thing we need to pass here in the connection configuration. that is provider name. So this is also required to pass. The provider name we are getting in the data provider config name. Second, we are going to pass config, open close bracket, double quotation, data provider dot toString. Right now this is done, and once we will insert the data to the data table, then we can also take the amount that affected rows, so that we can show in the log message that like this many data has been inserted to the table. So we'll take this here, control K, affected rows, save this, and this time we'll take one log message and we'll write here, we'll take one info log label, and this will be, we'll say here affected rows plus, we'll pass here records have been inserted to the table, and then we'll write here dot toString. So currently it is showing string to double. So here, because we are getting the data in the affected row, so we have to pass here dot toString, and then because we need to convert this data to the toString, and then plus this name. So it will show here, like if you are passing 10 records, so it will show 10 records have been inserted to the table. Now save this, and we can put here one more log. Here take a info, the message inserting input data to the table. So it will show here, first time when it will come here, then it will check first run equal to yes, then it will show a message, log message, like inserting input data to the table, and once this activity has been processed, it will show another log message like 25-30 records have been inserted to the table, right? And now the first thing has been done, like we have initialized the applications, we have initialized the config settings, we have added the items to the that table. Now we need to check here, if it is success, then go to the get transaction data, and if it is system error, then go to the AND process. So first we'll check with the success. So in the success, if system error is nothing, then it will go to the get transaction, and if it is system error, it means system error is not nothing, then it will log a message and go to the AND process and close the applications and kill the applications, right? So in the get transaction data, we need to, as you know, this is the normal steps we need to follow, and this is required. We'll first check the stop signal. If this has been requested, then there will be a log message like stop process requested, and then once the stop process requested, it means this item should not be processed, the next item should not be picked and not be processed, and the data and the project should be closed. So for that, here we are not going to use transaction item, because we are not going to use the transaction item. We are going to take here the transaction data, because now we have the data in the transaction data table. You can see here, now we have the data table. We are also not taking the system data row. We are not using the transaction field 1, field 2, field 3. In the else part, if the stop has not been processed, then we'll go to the get transaction data, open the workflow, and this is the get transaction item. This is for the queue. Now let me delete this, this is not required. and we can take execute query because we need to get the data from the SQL table. So if we need to get the data from the SQL table, it means we need to write the select star query, like select query. So select query can be written in the execute query activity. Okay, so now we will pass here first all the required things like the connection strings. So we have the connection strings in the config dictionary. So we'll take this name, config this connection string name, paste this dot to string, and now we need the provider name. So we have the provider name here, and this will be in config open close bracket double quotation, and paste this dot to string. And as we need to get the transaction data from the SQL table, so we can write here the query that is, because first time whenever we are going to get the data from the SQL here, so we can write here select. So while getting the transaction, we have to write here the code that query that always we need to get one record, because here we are not writing the transaction number. So we are going to use here select top 1. So what will happen, first time every time we'll get top 1 data, and here will be the star top 1 star from UI demo input. Okay, so we'll get the top 1 data. It means first data every time we'll get in the get transaction data, where we'll put the condition where the status equal to 0. So only we'll get the data where the status equal to 0, because we do not require where the status is successful, a status equal to escaped, a status equal to failed. We just required where the status equal to 0, because this is our condition. We are going to only process that record, that item where the status equal to 0. Okay, so we'll copy this, and you can pass here in the double quotation this. Okay, now save this. Now once we have executed this query, we'll have that data, the complete data, in the data table. So data table means we will use this IO transition data as a data table, because we are going to write that data, that main input data, in this data table, so that you can use this in the next another workflow. So I am going to take here this IO transition data as a data table, and this is not required. You can remove this transition field 2, field 1, and the transition item also not required. Save this, and now you can see here, if a new item is fetched, grab its significant data for logging. So we have the new item, that is first record where the status equal to 0, and every time we need to take one by one data from the SQL table, like one row, and we'll process that one row. Again next time it will go to the check select top 1. It means only one row will be fetched and that item will be processed. So always, that's why we are using here top 1. Now we'll check here, instead of writing out transaction item, we will write here out transaction data. I think we have the table name, that is IO transaction data. Okay, so we'll take here IO transaction data is not nothing. So we'll pass here IO transaction data is not nothing, then we will log a message. This is for logging fields. So this is not required, we can just use as per our use. So let me take one assign activity here, and I'm going to take two assign activity, one for the status and second for remarks. So first time the status I'm passing here only blank, and the remarks also I'm passing blank. Save this. Okay, so in the get transaction data, only the important thing is to get the data from the SQL table and store to the data table. So we are just taking one by one row where the status equal to 0, so only that row will be processed. Now save this. Now take the import arguments because we have done the changes. Okay, now this is done, we have the 3 records, only 3 arguments. Save this, and we'll see in the exception we are getting here the transaction item is nothing, but no, because we are getting the now data in the table, that is data table. So this transaction item will be the transaction data, I believe, right? So this will be transaction data is nothing. You can see here the transaction data is nothing because we have the data table, that is transaction data. And now if you see the arguments, we have the orchestrator queue name, so this is not required, remove this. Now save this, and now this steps done. Let me see, we are getting a warning message for somewhere else. Okay, so I believe this the new transaction is connected with this. So let me first show you the new transaction. So what is the mean of new transaction? New transaction means every time we'll get the new data, and if the new data is there, then the item will be processed, and if it is not there, then item will not be processed, and we'll update that there is no transaction data. So here new transaction, we have the condition transaction item is not nothing, but here we are not going to use transaction item, we are going to use here if the transaction data dot rows dot count greater than 0. If like the data table we have taken here, it has the count greater than 0, it means we have the new transaction data. And when we will get this transaction the count in the table, because we are using the select query and we are taking only one count. So if we are not getting one count, it means there is no transaction data. So you can write this query, this one here, the transaction data dot rows dot count greater than 0, then it will go to the log message, this the transaction number, and then it will go to the process transaction. And if there is no data, then what? So for that, there is no data, it means the transaction data dot rows dot count equal to 0. So if the row count equal to 0, then it will go to the end process and it will log a message like process finished due to no more transaction. So if in the select query we are not getting any data, it means we have the 0, and if we are getting data, it means the count greater than 0, right? Now go to the here and let's see that error has been gone because we have covered this thing also. Okay, now in the no data, if there is no data, then it will go to the end process and it will close the applications here. So let me show you how can we close that. Open the application, and now we need to pass here the close application activity, okay, and indicate on screen. So once if this workflow activated, it means this application will be closed, and close this. And you can see here, if there is any error exception while closing the application, then it will call another application, another workflow, that is kill all process. And in the kill all process, it will use the kill process activity and it will close the application forcefully. Right, now this is done. So end process has been completed, and now go to the process transaction. So for the process transaction, as of now you have got the data from the SQL, and now you have the new transaction data as a one record, and now we need to put that value, that transaction data, to the application so that that should be processed. So once it will come to the this process transaction, it will check here business rule exception equal nothing, right, there is no error. Then it will go to the process XML file. Now open this, and here we need to pass the your activities to process the transactions. So this is not required, this queue items, remove this, and from the variable we don't have currently now anything. And first time we will take a type into activity. So this will for the cache in, because we have three records, cache in, on US check, not on US check, and third is for not on US check, and fourth we are going to take as a click to accept the, click on this accept. Okay, now indicate on screen, click on the cache in, now click on this on US check, click on this not on US check, and this is for indicate accept. Right, this is done. And now how can we pass the cache in value? So you have seen we have the new transaction data, and we are getting the data from the SQL using select star top one, right? So first let me select this simulate type, and activity is not required, simulate click, activate not required, simulate click, activate the application not required, simulate click, and save. Now to get the data from the, because now we have the data in the table, because we have used here the select star, select top one in the get transaction data, and in this we have the now value in the data table. You can see here the data table we are using IO transaction data, right? So we have the data in the data table, and now here in this workflow we have the data table that is, let me take this IO, that is transaction, let me take the name. So we can take one arguments, that is IO or in transaction data, in transaction data. So the direction will be in, and this will be the data table. Now save this. We can use this in transaction data dot rows of 0. It means first time we are going to get the data from the first 0 records. 0 means first column, first record, dot item. So item means from which column you are going to get the data. So we are going to get the data from the cache in column. So we have the cache in column here, and the name is cache in column name, which we have created here, cache in. So we have to pass the column name in the double quotation, and then we'll pass the dot to string. So this method, this will take the data, the 0, it means first record from the this column. So first item will be fetched from there and typed to the this Gaussian field here. Now same way we need to copy this and paste here, and just need to change the name, that is on US check. Again copy this and paste here, and this will be not on US check. Right, so this is done now. Now at the end we can take one assign activity to, so once like if both has been processed all these thing without any exception, so it means it will go to the here this activity. So we'll take control K, and this will be the remarks, and we'll take here item processed, and we can write here Gaussian comma on US check comma not on US check added. It means we are writing all the steps which has been covered, like this has been added, this has been added, there is no error, and this has been added. So we are writing here all the steps here. We need to check for the business rule exception also. So for that we need to take one if condition here, drag and drop this, and take all these activities here and drag and drop to this. So in the if condition I am passing here to check the business rule exceptions. So here if we'll check the is numeric, and we are going to check for this. So we'll just put here if this records has the numeric value, then we will go to the true sections and it will process the items, process data. And if there is an error, if this is not numeric, then it will go to the else part, and we can take here throw exception. So using this throw exception we will take one new business rule exception, and in the open close bracket in the double quotation we will pass here records are not numeric. So by that way we can say that this item has alphabetics, like that is not numeric, so this should be marked as a business rule exceptions, right? Now here you can see if out IO transaction data is nothing, then it's going to log a message, and you can see here this is our responsibility to set out transaction item to the nothing. So in the else part we can take one assign activity, and this will be IO transaction data equal to nothing. Now save this, go to the process, and we need to keep remember this variable data table, because we have created in transaction data, so we have to pass the value also, like from which arguments this needs to be passed. So for that go to the main and go to the process here, and now we need to take the import arguments here, and you can see here in the in transaction data we need to pass the value. So we have the data in the transaction data. So what will happen this time, it will take the data from the transaction data table and it will write to this data table. right? Now save this, and you can see here now we have the value in this transaction data argument from the transaction data table arguments, right? And we need to take the process start time and process end time, because insert date time has been automatically inserted when we add the item, and now we require the process start time and end time. So for that, before starting, because when this is going to start, so we'll take this here, control K, and this will process start date time, and this will be now dot date time dot now. So using this date time dot now, we'll have the date time like current date time, and we'll store to the this variable, and this should not be generic value, this should be a date time. So for that we'll write here date time. So date time is, this is system dot date time. We'll take this, save this, and we can change this to process transaction. So where is the process? This is the main. Now save this. So this process transaction, we have taken this, but we need to pass this to the another workflow we are going to use somewhere else. So we'll convert to the arguments, and we'll change the name, that is IO, and we'll change the direction. I will show you where are we going to use this, in out. Now this name has been changed automatically. Now once this has been accepted, so we need to take another one. This will be IO underscore process and date time, control K, and this will be also the date time dot now, and this will be go to the arguments, the date time, this will be the in out. Now save this. Now this is done, the process transaction steps done. Now let me go to the main, take this import argument, and now we have the value in the process, control K, and we are going to take this value here, process start date time, and now we need to take this process and date time. Let me change the variable, date time. Okay, so this is done. Now we will go to the business rule exceptions. We will see if we are getting a business rule exception, then it will show, it will assign the exception value to the business rule exception, and if there is a system error exception, then it will assign the system exceptions to the system error variable. And now finally we'll go to the here in the set transaction status, because now this is the time we need to pass the status, update the status to the table based on the data. Now save this, open the workflow, and here if business rule exception is nothing and the system error nothing, then go to the success. So first time we'll cover the success message, and this is not required because this is used for the queue. Remove this. The add log is also not required, you can remove. We'll keep just this one, log message success. We'll remove this one also, this is not required. And we'll use this in transaction number. Every time we'll put here +1 for the logging purpose, so it will log here in the another workflow. And the retry number, we need to remove this, we are not going to use because we are keeping that in the table. So here we have to take one to write the insert query. So we have the execute non-query. So we are not going to insert, we are going to update the records. It means update the status against that transaction number. So for that, again we need to pass the connection string, that is in config, and take the value, this name from the table, that is connection string. So we have the in config open close bracket, again we need to pass the connection string dot to string, and in the provider name we'll need to pass here in config, and the provider name is data provider. Copy this, open close bracket, in the double quotation paste this dot to string. Now in the SQL query we need to pass the update table. So go to the edit query, and we need to write in the double quotation update table name. So we have the table name, this is the table name, UI demo input. Okay, so we can take the complete name, this one, dbu dot input. Set, we need to set here the status equal to, the status will be success here. So we are going to take the status from this variable. So we have the variable here, we will take one assign activity, and this time the status, control K, the status equal to, this will be. So once if bot is going to enter into this success condition here, then it will take one value success to the status. So we'll pass here in the query, because we have now data in the success variable. I believe you know about how to pass this parameters and how to pass the variable here. So I'm not going to pass the variable name, I'm going to pass the parameters, and for that I'm going to show you here. Go to the collection, and I'm going to take here the status, and this will be the status, because we are going to take the value from the variable and store to the argument. Save this. So we need to take one assign activity here, so that we can take the value, the remarks value from this process, IO remarks, to this variable, so that will be easily to write to the query. So control K, remarks will be the IO remarks. Okay, so we are not getting, so we can directly take here the remarks that is in, because that remarks will be only used in this status. So the remarks will be in remarks, and we'll just pass here remarks in underscore remarks. So this is the argument. Going to the execute non-query, we need to pass the parameters here. So for the remarks, we have the remarks, the name we are going to take here, remarks for the argument, and the status we are going to take from the in remarks currently, and press OK. Now at the time of updating, we need to update 2-3 things. First, we need to update the status of that transaction, like the item is success, then the status will be success, and the remarks will be the same remarks which we are passing here, that is cache in added, item processed. And third, we need to pass the record start time, and the fourth, record end time. So for that, we have the both date time in the variable, first in the arguments IO process end date, and this is IO process start date time. So for that, we can go to the parameters and we can pass here process start date time, and this will be the type will be system date time, and this will be the variable we are going to use, that is IO. Okay, so we don't have, so we have to create one new process start date time. So we are going to create here the value, but this will be used when we will import the arguments. Now go to the process start date time, process and date time. This will be date system dot date time, and again this will be in underscore control K in underscore process and date time. Press OK, save this, and you can see here now we have the arguments we have passed here in underscore process date time, and here in underscore process end time, and this shows this may be declared due to the production level, and this is okay. Let me check the variables. Do you have any variable? Okay, so we have the in and time, so we need to take here the correct name. Let me take here, I believe I have not pressed control K. Okay, paste this, enter this. Okay, now save this. Now this has been created here. We can move it to here, and this will be in use when we'll import the arguments. So this time we'll update here. In the remarks, we'll just update here remarks, and in the process end time we have the process end time, and in the process start time we have the value in the process start time. Now press OK, save this. Now go to the set transaction status, and now in the query we need to pass here input set status equal to @status, because we have the parameter @status, comma, what we need to pass another things. We need to update the process start date time equal to @process start date time, because this is our column name, and this is the parameters, the argument where we are getting data. You can see from here. So we are getting here process start date time, and this is process and date time. Okay, so now we need to update here the process and date time. So we'll copy this comma, paste this, so this will be process and date time and date time, and update set column equal to parameter, column equal to parameter. Now where we need to put the where condition, where id equal to @id. So id we need to take from the table, so for that go to the parameters and we need to take one variable, that is the arguments, that is id, and this will get the data from the table, that is IO, that is transaction data. Let me check the data table variable. So currently we don't have any variable name, but we have to take one transaction data as a data table. Okay, save this, and now go to the parameters and take here transaction data dot rows open close bracket 0 and dot item double quotation id dot toString. So here we are passing the, we are getting the data from the transaction data, that data table, and passing to the id variable. Now press OK. So we have already used in the edit query the id equal to @id. Now this is done, the status updated. Now you can see here in the main, now we have the these arguments: remarks, process end time, process start date time, and transaction number, retry number, system error, config. Now this is done, the success part is done. Now we need to think about the business logic. So if there is a business logic, so go to the true, go here, and now let me delete this. This is not required, this is also not required, this is required, remove transition, this is required, retry required, not required. Now we need to take the execute non-query again to again update the status for the business rule exception. So here we'll take in config open close bracket, in the double quotation we have the variable, that column name here, that is let me check, connection string. So this connection string we need to pass here in the double quotation dot toString. Now in the data provider we'll pass here in config open close bracket, in the double quotation we'll pass this data provider. So this is required, guys, we have to write down here. Save this, and again we need to take here the id, and this will be transaction data dot rows 0 dot item id dot toString, and then go to the query. We need to pass here in the double quotation update, or we can directly copy the same query from here. We'll copy this and go to the handle here, paste. So this time our status will be skipped, because once if there is a business rule exception, the status will be skipped. And now we have the parameters here. So now this time I'm going to show you the parameter. I'm going to just use here directly without passing a variable, and the remarks will be, we are not going to pass the static remarks, so we are going to take the remarks from the business rule exception dot message. So this remarks will be updated to the remarks, and status will be from this, and the query will be the same, set status success. Okay, so I believe we are putting the wrong in the success also, because we have the status. We need to change here. TATUS. Okay, go here, and now in the handle business rule exception, we need to again pass the status will be the status which we are taking from the parameters. And here you can see we have the start get time, process start time and process end time. So we'll pass here get date. This is a function which we are using in the SQL, so we are passing this get date. So we are updating here the status and the remarks. So for the remarks, we have the remarks equal to @remarks RKS, where ID equal to ID. Right, now press OK. Let me verify the success update query. I believe we are not passing remarks here. Okay, so we need to pass the remarks here also. Okay, because we have the parameters remarks here. Okay, so we'll pass this. Now press and we need to put here one comma. This one. Now press OK. Now go to the handle business rule exception, and this is done. The status skipped, and the remarks will be the same which we are going to get from the business rule exception. Now this is done. We can put a log message also, like exception updated. And now go to the handle business handle system error. So we'll take this both things, copy this, and go to the handle system error, and this is not required. Delete this. This is deleted. Robot retry we are not going to use, because we are going to retry based on the SQL table variables. This is not required. Yes, this is required, because we need to take the screenshot, so we can directly paste our here. So we'll paste this variable here. First the status will be failed. Save this. and the parameters will be, for the remarks we need to update here in underscore system error dot. So what will be the message we'll get, will update to the remarks, and press OK. Now save this. This will take the screenshot. If there is an error, it will close the application. So we have the close applications written code here. Save this, and this is done. Now what will happen if we'll get the exception? So if we'll get the exception, then the status will be updated as a failed. So how can we run that item again? So first I am going to show you all these steps without retry the items. So let me save this and let me run this. So control F5. So let me check here. We have the existing first run, yes. So this time item will be added to the this here. So you can see the status from the output. Inserting input data to the table. 40 records have been inserted to the table. Opening applications, and now this is trying to put the value here. Okay, so now you can see here only one items is going to processed. Now close this, stop this. Okay, so first time when item has been added to the table, you can see here 1 2 3 records has been inserted, and status is equal to 0, remarks null, insert datetime this, process this, retry count this. Now we need to get one by one record here based on this, where status equal to this. So first time this item will be processed, and so what is happening, like this is not adding 1 plus 1. So first, like we have the issue, it is going to process putting the data, but when it is going to the set transition status, let me check here, input. Okay, so that time it is not putting here 1 plus 1. So let me go to the success and see here the transition number plus 1. So this shows that 1 plus 1. So let me debug this. So go to main and then click on this debug main file, and now we'll see one by one where are we getting error. It shows like connecting SQL server, config data is added, and we already have inserted the data in the SQL. You can see here first data has been processed, and now here's going to the execute non-query, and the object reference not set to an instance of an object. Now you can see here in the locals we are getting this exception. In the in config we have the data, in the system error we don't have, business exception we don't have error, retry number this is not required. Now in transition number, the second number, because this has been added, okay, so we'll fix that. This should be only 1, this should not be added plus 1, because currently only one transition is processing. So what we'll have to do, we'll have to move this to the AND. So first this will be updated, then transition number 1 will be plus. Now we have the in remarks, this one, and then we have the status. So because we are passing the status and remarks, and this is date time, start date time and date time, and now you can see here the transition. This is null. It shows that data table is null. There is no data in the data table. So let me click on this. It shows that this is null. And what is the variable we are passing here for the data table? This is transition data. Okay, so this is wrong. We have to pass transition data, transaction data something. So let me stop this and first we'll fix this issue. So what will happen, if the data is updated, then it will update, like add here 1. It means the transaction number will be 2 when that another transaction will be picked. Now we will see here in the collection that we are passing here transaction data dot rows. So this is wrong. I believe we need to take here another arguments, that is transaction data, and this will be data table. So either we can take this or we can replace this, we can replace this in underscore transaction data, and this will be the data table. Now we need to go to the parameters here, and we need to see here that in transaction data, this will be in underscore transaction data dot rows. So currently we are getting error. So let me see in the variable. Okay, this will be deleted in transaction data in data table, and now go to the parameters. We are passing this in underscore transaction data. Okay, now this is correct. Press OK, save this. And now one more thing we need to take care, whenever we are going to the main, here in the while importing the arguments, we need to pass the correct, we have the transaction data, and here we will take the transaction data variable. Now this is correct. So I believe we'll get the same issue in the another, except here the business rule exception and the system error. Okay, let me check. So here again the transaction number will be added after and click on the collection. Okay, so we'll take here in underscore transaction. So we already have this in transaction data, we need to delete that. So we can delete from the variable, go to the collection. Okay, transaction data, let me see where are we getting. Okay, so we already have deleted from the success sequence. So now we just have to change this as a transaction data. This will be in underscore transaction data, and this is done. Now same we have to go to the handle system error, and this will be also, this will be in underscore transaction data dot rows. Okay, so this is also done, and same as this we have to take this assign transaction number. So we'll paste into the handle system error. So here we'll update that, and we'll see we have the IO transaction number plus this. Okay, so now we'll run this again, we'll see we are getting an error or not. So we'll directly run this without debugging, control F5. Okay, so first item has been processed. Second, I believe there is a business rule exception, and third, okay, so let me run this and let's see. Okay, so first showing here success item processed cash in on US check, and we have updated the process start date time. You can see here 9:46:39 and this is 9:46:41. It means 2 minutes gap. And now you can see here the retry count is still showing 1, but but this should be increased because this has been processed, so this should be 1. Let me execute. Okay, so this is not increased. Let me do one thing. First let me see what are we getting error. So we are getting error somewhere. .NET SQL data provider non-query transaction number 2 incorrect process date time at SQL. Okay, so we are getting error while passing the process start date time. Okay, so let me stop this, and we need to fix this one also, that this should be updated as a +1. So now let me go to the set transaction status, and here we need to take one parameter as a retry number. Retry number, and this will be integer, and this will be in transaction data dot rows of 0 dot item, and we need to pass this name retry count. So we'll take this retry count, paste here, dot toString. Okay, so this will be string. Press OK, and now while passing the query we need to add here. So how can we add this? So we have to add here comma retry count equal to @retry number +1. So this will be +1 because we are getting retry number from the data table, so that is 0 and +1, so this retry count equal to 1. And now okay, so this is we have updated in the handle system error. Now we need to update in the success. So this will be in the parameters retry number. This will be in transaction data dot rows of 0 dot item open close bracket in double quotation retry count dot toString. And now we need to pass in the query that comma retry count equal to @retry number +1. Okay, so this is done. So this needs to be fixed in the handle business error. Again we'll go to the parameters, and this will be also updated as a retry number in transaction data dot rows of 0 dot item retry count dot toString. Again we'll update the query here in the state success query comma get comma retry count equal to @retry number +1. And the second issue we are getting that every time it is putting error of the process start date time. So let's see let's review the query. Update status this remarks will device. Okay, so now we have the comma missing. Now this is done. Press OK, save this, control F5. So now this time what will happen, once if it is successfully executed, then it will update the business rule exception here. Okay, now second item process, third item process. Okay, now it's working fine. You can see here that this is skipped and the time, and now you can see the retry count 111, and this is skipped. Now let me close this and let's see what is the error are we getting here. Put here where status not equal to success. Okay, so we have the skip also, not equal to, we can write here not in success and skipped. Now let's see here. So let me close this again and let's see are we getting any failed exception, failed error or not. So this is not getting failed because it is trying to open the application, and that's why. But if we have the selector missing, then what will happen? So I will show you that here. Let me see we are getting any exception here or not. Okay, so you can see here the output we are getting here, non-query incorrect syntax near process start date time. Right, so we missed that. We have to go to the handle system error, and you can understand this because this is a large project and we missed to put the comma in between remarks and process date time, comma. Now save this and run this. Now let's see here we have the 6 records pending, and now let me run this again and so that I can show you that error. Control F5. Get asset service unavailable. Okay, so we are getting this error. Okay, so we are getting the web app is stopped. Okay, so now assets is working fine. Now we can see here, so we were getting the first the get asset service unavailable and then error. Now we'll run this again and we'll see for the application exceptions. So we'll close this. Okay, and let me check this. Okay, so exception has been showing here. Now you can see here it is showing failed and remarks is this, and the retry count is 1. Now let's see what is happening. It is processing the same item or it is going to the next record. If it will pick here 1028, it means we'll have to do some changes in the failed here. So let me wait here. Okay, so closing the all applications, killing process, opening the application. Now we need to see here 398. Okay, so it is taking another applications. Next one, this one, it has been picked another one, and that has been processed. but now we need to only pick this. So for that we'll have to write the condition here. So let me go to the init, because what is happening when it is going to error, system error, then is going to the init settings here, and in the init we are initializing the settings here, inserting the data to the table, and then after that it is coming to the get transition data, and then here we are again taking another. So here we have to write one thing, that is edit query and select top one from the input where status equal to 0 or failed. If a status is failed or 0, then data will be picked in 0 or failed. And the retry count is less than 3. Less than 3 means we have the data here and we have set the config data as a maximum retry number 3. Okay, so we'll take here maximum retry number 3. So only we'll pick with the maximum retry number 3. So for that, let me go to the parameters and we'll take here retry maximum retry count, and the value will be transaction data IO transaction data dot rows of 0 dot item of the retry count. This will be the retry count. Okay, so we need to take this retry count and paste here in the double quotation dot toString. Press OK. So here in the query we'll write here less than at the rate, because we are using the parameters at the rate maximum retry count. So only the data will be fetched here. Select top one from table where status in 0 or failed, and retry count less than 3. If more than 3, then item will not be processed. Now save this and press Ctrl 5 again. So data should be fetched only 398, cache in this 526. 398, 526, 396. Okay, so we are getting this error. This is Visual Basic. Let me close this and let's see what error are we getting here in the output. Okay, UI demo application logged in successful, and let me see, and let me check here application login execute query. So we are getting error in the execute query. So where are we getting this error? We are getting error here. Execute query, select top one, and the retry count less than at that maximum retry, max retry count. Let me check the parameters. Max retry count. Okay, so maximum retry count, here we are doing one mistake, that is we are not getting data here because we have the maximum retry count in the config table here, this one. So this is the mistake we are doing. So for that we have to take in config, open close bracket, put here, and then dot toString. Now this is done. Save this and run this. Oh, we are passing an error here. Okay, so data has been processed 398. You can see here 398. Now there is no field that has been processed. You can see here there is no any failed item, and that item which was that was failed, it is showing here retry count 2, because that has been processed now after one more retry. Now what can we do here? Let me see the output. So all the items has been processed, is showing the process finished due to no more transaction data. And we can do one thing, we can update few data. We can take 10 records here. Set status equal to failed. Okay, or we can take here 0, comma, remarks equal to null, comma, and we can take this retry count. So initially we'll take here 0, where id greater than 35. So where status equal to 0. So now we have the 5 records, and let me try again. Close this and run this again. Now we'll see for the failed here. Okay, so now we'll close this here, closed. So this time we'll get one error. This will be updated here, and we'll update here status in 0 or failed. And run this. Okay, so this has been updated here, the failed due to the region, and retry count 1. Now again 1028, this item will be processed, the 36 number. We will see here if 1028 will be processed, then again we will close this, and after third retry count, will see here this item will not be picked because we are passing there less than 3, right? And now this item has been picked again, 1028, this one. So I believe that will be processed also, because third item has been processed. We'll check for the retry count. If this is 2, it means the 2 times this has been failed, right? Now you can see here the retry count is 2. One more time we'll close this, and we'll check for this, that it is getting processed again or not. So here guys, I am showing you everything so that you will not be fail anywhere. Okay, now close this. The same item was picked, and now this is showing third time. So what will happen, let me just close this and decrease the size, decrease the time. So this will be decreased from here. We'll put here in the in the timeout, in the target, we'll put here 3000. It means 3 seconds, 3 milliseconds. 3000 millisecond means 3 seconds. Again we'll put here 3000, and here also we'll put here 3000, and let's save this. So it will not take too much time to update the exception here. So currently we have one failed, and this item will not be processed again because this is now 3, because third time this is not less than 3, this is 3, and now this next item will be processed. So control F5. So this time 1162 item will be processed, right? Okay, so now one by one the item is getting processed. And now let me close this. And one more thing I am going to show you here at the end, because at the end we need to export the final data, right? You can see here now this has been processed, only one failed showing here. So at the end, finally, if application has been closed, process due to process end due to no more data, then at the end here in the finally will take one a write range activity. So for that, first we'll take one execute query, and this is for exporting the data. So again we'll take here the connection string. So we have the connection string in the config, and the config, the name is this name. So in the double quotation, open close double quote, and paste here dot toString. Now in the provider name, again we'll take here config open close bracket, and then we'll paste this data provider dot toString, and this is done. Now here we need to pass the query. So query will be, because we need to take the data which is inserted today, right? So for that we have to write here select star from UI demo input, where the insert date time is the current date time. So we'll put here convert date comma this insert date time, because we are going to take the value from the current date. Again we'll take convert open close date comma get date. So it will take current get date data and run this. Now we have the 40 records. So based on this we'll copy this and we'll just paste the VB expression inside this here. Now press OK, save this, and we'll take one output data, that is, let me check here, we have the out dt, and at the end we'll take here write range activity from the workbook section, this one, and here we'll pass the output file name. So we have that file name here, output file name, config open close double quotation dot toString, and the data table will be out dt. So the output file name should be, currently we are putting here data slash, it means the folder, inside the folder there is a name report, but we need to pass here the current date along with the output file name. So for that we'll have to pass here plus now dot toString, that is string open close bracket, and this will be the format mmddyyy, right? And then we can write here dot toString, and before that here after file name we can put here underscore plus plus, this will be underscore. Save this, this is not required, and the sheet name will be sheet1, because this will be the first the new one, so this will be created. We will take one add headers and save this, and we can take one log message here, and we'll say this will be info final data has been exported to Excel file. So now save this, and at the end finally we need to set the assets from in to yes again, because first time if the item all this item will be processed, so next time we will automatically update to the yes. So next time if if you have scheduled to run this process next day, then again the data should be picked and inserted to the table. So we'll just copy this name first run, and here we'll just put here first run, and the value will be yes. Now save this, and we can run this now. So control F5. So now this time the item will be processed, this because this has been processed, and now data will be fetched based on current date and then exported to the Excel file. You can see here the output: process finished due to no more data, closing the applications, and at the end you will see here the final data exported to the application to the Excel file. Okay, so the error is showing that not supported. So for that we'll have to put here this is we have to put here dot or plus dot xlsx. Now save this. So there was the extension issue, and let me see the location. So the file will be exported here. Okay, you can see the output here now. Okay, so now you can see here final data has been exported to Excel file. Now is this data and this one. Okay, the time is 10:33. The current time has been processed. Now you can see here item skipped, processed, so everything you can get here. This one was failed due to the 3 times retry count. As of now you have seen that we are every time we are putting this insert query, select query, update query, and this is taking time to update to the table, insert to the table, get the data from the table, because every time it has to establish the connection. So that's why now in the next tutorial we'll learn the REFramework input SQL table using store procedures. We'll read the config data, insert input data to SQL, get items from the SQL, process each records, update, success, skipped, failed, success, status in the SQL using stored procedures in REFramework template, so that it will not take too much time to connect to the UiPath to SQL server, and it will not take too much time to update the status of each items, right? So by that way, using store procedures, we can decrease the time of the process. So I hope you will like this video, and this is something that you will not get this video anywhere on the YouTube, and really it takes my lots of time to prepare the template and prepare this reframework example for you. And now you can see here, this is the like more than 1 hour of video, and I was sitting here for more than 1 hour only, guys, for you. So I hope you like this video, and so please press the like button. So if you have any question, please comment on video, and please put your feedback, put your suggestion, comment on the videos comment. If you have not subscribed, then please subscribe this channel. Thank you so much.